The ENFP, the free spirit, the whirlwind of energy, the embodiment of spontaneity. They are the ones who live life like an unscripted adventure, driven by their ever-changing passions and boundless curiosity. But with that comes the stereotype. People who never quite grow up, the dreamer who starts a million projects and never finishes none, the friend who shows up 2 hours late with an elaborate excuse and a goofy smile. So are ENFPs just immature? Let's find out. So ENFPs are often seen as impulsive, easily distracted, and frustratingly unreliable. They jump from one idea to the next, fueled by the excitement, forsaking discipline. So their enthusiasm is infectious, but their follow-through is questionable at best. So there's also the classic avoidance of responsibility. Routine, structure, commitment sounds like a prison sentence. They'd rather chase their latest passion project, travel on a whim, or dive into deep philosophical debates at 3 a.m. than deal with mundane adulting tasks like paying bills on time or maintaining a consistent schedule. And when confronted with their flakiness, expect playful deflection, a charming laugh, or a heartwarming speech about how life is too short to be taken so seriously. Emotionally, ENFPs can struggle with consistency. One moment they're your best friend, showering you with affection and deep conversations. The next, they ghosted you for a week. So their emotions run wild, from euphoric highs to dramatic lows, and they may tend to overanalyze their own feelings. Okay, I think I should stop now. I know that what I said dangerously borders on the offensive, but that's not my intention. What I'm trying to do is making you understand the power of their first cognitive function, extroverted intuition. Maybe the most intense function of them all, and that is saying something because they are all over intensified. So if you follow my channel, then you know that I came up with my own system to explain people's behaviors. So after countless hours of research and consideration, I noticed that the patterns displayed by the 16 types resembled responses to traumas. Let me tell you a story. It all started with a comment on one of my videos about INTJs. It said that the betrayal from a former lover and business partner rocked them to the core. It wasn't really the fact that the person had lost greatly monetarily that shook them the most, to the point of a complete breakdown. The thing that hit them the hardest was the betrayal itself, the fact that they weren't able to see it coming, the fact that they were caught off guard. And that was the thing that they could not get past. That sparked a concept in my mind that maybe our cognitive functions are a deep response to unconscious traumas, right? So, and possibly NI, introverted intuition, the dominant function of INTJs, could be a response to the trauma of betrayal. So after deep reflection and research, it seemed to fit perfectly. The future focus, the pattern recognition, the attempt to always anticipate contingency plans, the strategy tendencies, etc. I got super excited as it made a lot of sense, right? So these are reasonable traits someone would adopt, develop, or evolve when trying to avoid being betrayed again, meaning that the trauma is still present and being felt by the individual at a subconscious level. And one by one, I was able to attribute each function to a specific trauma, and they all fit perfectly, in my opinion, of course. The most challenging function was actually trying to identify extroverted intuition and what kind of trauma could cause the brain to light up with such intensity, these super fast connections, almost like a Christmas tree lighting up. So after much consideration, I concluded that the trauma that can better explain this level of mental activity is the fight or flight response, right? So when I put it to the test, the same way I did with NI, it was a match. So ENFPs do display this sort of behavior with their wit, their brainstorming capabilities, and their ability to make seemingly unrelated connections in an instant, right? So their thoughts branch out like wildfire, jumping from one idea to another with remarkable speed. It also explains why any dominant types often struggle with focus, right? The same function that allows them to see 1,000 iterations also makes it difficult to commit to just one path. So now, does that make them immature? At first glance, it might seem so. Their scattered energy, their tendency to jump from one idea to the next, and their refusal to settle, right, can easily be mistaken for irresponsibility or lack of seriousness. But immaturity is about avoiding growth, while NE is about exploring it. So what makes it seem like flakiness is in reality an endless pursuit of possibilities, an insatiable curiosity. So when we combine it with their secondary function of introverted feeling, or FI, we get an individual who channels their curiosity towards people. Not entirely. I'll elaborate on this. So ENFPs, they want to know what makes people tick, right? They are extremely interested in the unique quirks of individual people, right? So in my theory of traumas, stay with me, I promise this will make sense. So my theory of traumas states that FI is characterized by the trauma of neglect. So people who feel like their feelings were neglected, they put tremendous emphasis on them. The trauma of neglect amplifies high FI users' need to validate feelings and prioritizes individuality. For high FI users, emotions are not just reactions, they are deeply personal truths that demand acknowledgement. So this stems from a desire to ensure no feeling, whether their own or another's, goes unnoticed or invalidated. This is where their deep empathy comes from. NE sparks curiosity, constantly asking what else is there. FI refines this curiosity, directing it towards people and their inner workings. The result, a personality type that is deeply invested in authenticity, in human connection, and in uncovering truths about who we are as people. But ENFPs don't stop at human nature. Their curiosity goes beyond that. So the force of the trauma of fight or flight triggers the neurons in such a powerful way that it pulls them into unorthodox and unconventional ideas. So they find themselves pondering not just about people, they also entertain wild theories, explore existential questions, and challenge societal norms. That is why labeling them as immature is really a misunderstanding of their nature. ENFPs aren't careless or aimless, they are simply explorers. But well, this all sounds great, right? So after all, what's wrong with people being overly curious or creative, right? But brace yourselves, because this is about to take a dark turn. Okay, let's begin. So the universe works in a binary way, right? Nothing is only just one thing. There's always a catch. And in the case of ENFPs specifically, it comes in the form of a quasi insanity. Remember that what caused their behaviors in the first place was the trauma of fight or flight. So when someone experiences fight or flight, they are experiencing extreme fear, restlessness, and anxiety. After all, it is a life-threatening situation. To make things clear, my theory of trauma states that people don't have to personally go through these traumas. They are just born that way. It's just something that they inherited. It's in their brain. It's how their brain works from birth. And this means that this fear, this disposition, the stigma of fight or flight is still present in the unconscious. So this means that they often struggle to truly relax. There's often a sense of urgency, an internal sense of urgency. They can engage in both the fight mode or the flight mode, but in the case of ENFPs, it's almost always the flight mode due to their secondary function of FI. So FI is more sensitive, is more delicate, so not aggressive. So ENFPs often lean towards avoidance, withdrawal, and escapism. While ENTPs, they often choose the confrontation route due to their thinking tendencies. So ENFPs, they have extrovert intuition, introverted feeling. ENTPs, extrovert intuition, introverted thinking. And these two types' mental agility, normally seen as a strength, can and often does lead to mental exhaustion and anxiety, especially more on ENFPs because they are more sensitive, right? Because of introverted feeling. Are ENFPs known for disappearing from time to time for no apparent reason? I wonder why that happens. So they struggle with commitment or follow through because they prefer to keep their options open, which further reinforces the immature stereotype, right? So they also experience a deep fear of being trapped, whether in a routine, a decision, or a situation. So, and I could go on and on about the side effects of such a powerful trauma and the effects that it produces in the mind, but that is not exactly the point of this video. we are here to answer the question if ENFPs are immature. So with the forces they have to contend with in their brains, it's a miracle for me that they aren't even more scattered, right? So while ENFPs may never fit the traditional mold of maturity in a structured linear way, their version of maturity is also just as valid. Let me explain. So ENFPs, they tend to be self-aware, emotionally intelligent, adaptable, and deeply purpose-driven. So despite contending with the fight or flight trauma that fuels their restlessness, they try to regulate it. They try to regulate their emotions. They take responsibility for their emotions and the impact that it has, and they turn their endless curiosity into empathetic pursuits instead of destructive ones. So I say that true maturity is not about suppressing your nature, it's about mastering it. So like I always say, understanding breeds acceptance. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
If you liked the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. That will allow us to keep making more videos like this. For more related content, please click on one of the suggested videos. Thank you for watching.